Hey Fit Fam, Coach Rant from Team Flex. Today we're going to be diving into the Optimum Classic figure, and we're going to talk about literally the placings here of our top 5 athletes, a little bit about the criteria, why the placings landed the way it did, and what it means for you as a figure competitor out there that wants to do your best on stage no matter your level. Could be your first competition, could be you're trying to get a pro card, could be you're already a pro and you want to know more about how to improve your look. Well, that's what we do on this channel. That's what I do all the time with my comp reviews and everything else. So make sure, if you're not, you subscribe. Let's get down to business. All right, so here's our top 3 from this event here. We got Madison in the middle. She's taken the win. We've actually looked at her in recent competitions on figure videos as well, so if you haven't seen those, go check those out. Ashley over here taking second, and Gabriella over here taking third. We will look at our 4th and our 5th as we go through the video, so stay tuned. Now, here's what we see right out the gate. Everybody's got good similarities, a lot of differences though in these physiques. So figure's really all about a really good V-tapered look. You want to have this across the board. If you're going to be a figure competitor, your job becomes getting a V-taper, really figuring that out, and also getting your balance right. Up and down, left and right, everything has to be symmetrical, everything has to match, everything has to be perfect like that in figure. So that's a really crazy criteria to get to for a lot of athletes, because it's a lot of muscle and it's a lot of conditioning too. Now in this lineup, it's very interesting because you'll look at Madison and you might say, okay, right out the gate, Coach Rye, I can see she looks like she's a smaller athlete, right? She looks like she's the smallest out of the lineup. So what's going on with figure? Are we losing it? No, we're not. You guys, what you really got to pay attention to with figure, and I think this is a constant message we keep getting from judges, is figure continues to try to push the envelope of size, right? And this happens with all divisions in the sport, but especially, they go through their ups and downs, years where it trends one way or another, and athletes trend the sport the way they want, right? Athletes go train and get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then all the athletes keep showing up bigger and bigger. But when they don't, right, there's definitely factors where judges can say, hey, this is a clear stamp on criteria we want to make. And I think that's really what we're seeing at this event here. Madison's got this really good shape to the shoulders, really good arm development that matches, really nice lat sweep and pop, perfect, nailed it in the waist, right? Just right there, really good V-taper, good structure, and her lower body is so symmetrical and matching. We can see the size in the quads and the overall fullness there, and well as the conditioning. She has the best quad conditioning out of this lineup. So this is, again, really good for her physique, really good for her frame. It accentuates it fully, and it's a clear message to me. The judges are saying, do not go get too dang big in the figure division, ladies. And that's what we see here when we look at Ashley, I think, right? Very big shoulders, good taper. But I think that, the lats and the shoulder size really does hinder the overall kind of direction. She looks a little bit too dominant up top in that way. It doesn't match down lower the same. Her conditioning is not the same there. So again, could be a factor and could be a message from judges. Don't get big. Don't get too big in figure, right? And I think we see that as we go over here. Gabriella, right? Debatably the most muscle in this lineup, but taking third out of it, right? So that's a really interesting factor to consider. The more muscle you have, if you start push criteria, it starts to look more like you got to go to women's physique and other things. You don't want to have too much muscle in figure. You want to be on par with the criteria, the size that is required to get the best V-taper, and that's the one that fits on your frame. So if you're watching and you're a figure competitor, ladies, you got to optimize what's on your frame. You got to build the muscle to match your frame. Don't overdo it. Don't get too much size, or it can go to different places on the stage. Now looking here again from the back, Madison, right, she really just nails this look. She's got great shoulder shape, good rear delt, best rear delt on the stage right there. Really good lat structure, width and depth. And then, her glutes, her lower body, she really does outclass in this lineup, where you can see, a lot of shape to the upper glute, overall glute. Conditioning is just nailed, right? It's like right on the cusp of where your conditioning could get too crazy, but it doesn't. So she's really just brought it together, and her overall physique is so symmetrical, up, down, left, right. It just looks really perfect, and her conditioning matches up and down right now. So that's really good for her. And again, producing the win. Looking over here at Ashley, we see, good shoulder shape, everything here, good sweep to the lats. Lower body looks a little bit off, right? It just looks softer in general. The glutes don't really look to be at the same level of conditioning as the rest of her physique in that sense, and I think that that's a huge factor for her. But also maybe the fact too that she just has more muscle. Her arms are bigger, her delts are bigger, her shoulders are bigger. All of those things are bigger bigger factor. So it's interesting to see Madison bringing a little bit less development to the stage, still taking the win here, right? It could be a clear sign from judges. Figure, don't get too big, don't get too, you know, jacked in that sense, right? And over here we look at Gabriella, same situation. She does not have as much width from the lats though as the other two above her. You got to make sure you're focused on the width of the lats and the depth of the lats and figure, and really pulling all those pieces together to show your best physique. And her lower body just looks a little bit off too as well, right? It seems to be softer in general, having more body fat stored than the rest of her physique. This is a key in figure, to have a balanced condition, up, down, left, right. If you don't have it, it's going to be something that's noted. Now, let's take a look at the next in our lineup, the 4th and the 5th here. So, again, this is where I think we get to see a clear message from judges, right? It's because 4th and 5th, Danielle there, and then Shauna over here, looking very big, very muscular, very nice V-tapers, very good look overall. But again, the size factor plays a big role. So let's see. I mean, you know, Madison, again, being a very smaller athlete in this lineup development-wise, still winning out of this top 5. You know, it's I think a very clear sign, you guys. If I haven't hammered that home enough, you know, you really want to focus on that for your figure training. Do not add too much muscle to get, you know, this look that could be disproportionate and hurting your frame on stage. So Danielle, you know, very good shoulder shape, very good overall upper body shape, lats, everything's great. You know, waist, very good taper. All of this is here. Her lower body does look like it's lacking a little bit in development. I think she could add a little bit more muscle there, and that might balance her physique out a little more, which could in turn, you know, help her place a little bit better. And then looking at Shauna over here, really good lats width, really good shoulder shape overall. I think that, again, you know, same thing. The quads just don't seem to show up to the party as much. They're not looking as developed compared to her upper body, and I think that's a factor. Looking from the back, we see again here how these things can play out a little bit differently. Danielle looks very, very lean from the back, right? We can see, you know, it's almost too lean. It probably actually is too lean for this criteria, showing too much striation, too much cut, and too much development right there. You can really see that a lot in her hamstrings and in her upper and mid back. That could be a factor where judges say, okay, that's a little too lean for this criteria. We don't, you know, want to push it that far, but also she needs more width from her lats here as well. You can see just how much more width Madison really has in her lats than both of these other athletes in the lineup here. And then looking over at Shauna, her conditioning is pretty disproportionately softer in her lower body. So I think that's a major factor. She also just needs more overall size if her upper body is going to be that developed. So figure athletes, pay attention to making sure up, down, left, right, perfect symmetry, and you know, getting the size that's the best on your frame. Don't always worry about getting more, bigger. It's not always about that. A lot of times it's actually about you know, making sure you optimize the actual frame of your physique. Where can you fit that muscle? How much of that muscle can you fit? And if you can do that, then you're gonna win, right? So I want to know what you guys think. Drop your comments below. Let me know how everything you think went with these placings. Do you think somebody else should win? Do you like the direction of figure? Thank you for watching. Coach Rye is out.